It's a club you never want to get into, that you lost a child. But if you're there, you have to reach out and help others.
I don't know how to process it because it still sits there with me in that thick layer.
The more real life stories and people coming forward and telling their stories, helps the understanding for this.
Welcome to a special TV6 program, Suicide Loss Survivors Finding a Path Forward. I'm former TV6 Morning News anchor Elizabeth Peterson, back for this series about postvention with suicide loss survivors. Postvention is the work to provide support and resources after someone loses a loved one to suicide. This isn't an easy topic to talk about. It can feel heavy and at times unapproachable. But we need to keep the conversation going. We need to keep holding space for those impacted by suicide, and we need to continue working to increase resources and support. Before we begin, I want to provide the number of the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and I'll say this several times throughout this special. If you or someone you know is struggling or in a suicidal crisis, call 988. Help is available 24 hours a day. We also have a list of resources available on UpperMichiganSource.com under the Suicide Prevention Resources tab on the homepage. According to the Michigan Suicide Prevention Commission, global suicide rates are decreasing. Yet nationally and here in the state of Michigan, the suicide rate has been on a steady rise since 1999. There is incredible work happening in our communities on suicide prevention, support, resources, and postvention. It's not perfect, there's still work to be done, but there is a momentum that is changing the stigma that has long surrounded suicide and strengthening our communities. We're sharing stories of suicide loss survivors throughout this special TV6 program. Suicide loss survivors are people who have lost a loved one to suicide. These stories are an important piece in understanding how we as a community and as human beings can be there for one another in a time of crisis. 8 years ago, John Kevala died by suicide. He was a well-known figure in the Upper Peninsula, the state representative for the 109th District. He had just announced a run for the state Senate, but his battle with addiction and two very public drunk driving arrests became too much. Kevala died on May 9th, 2017 at his second home in Lansing. He left behind two children and his wife Sandy. This is her story.
It was, in a way, really shocking, and in a way not a surprise. So I always felt it was a surprise, but when I look at it, the police came to my work, and the minute they walked in, I knew. It was like, there's nothing else they can be telling me right now, but this terrible thing has happened.
Sandy Kevala talks openly about the events that led to and followed her husband John's death. Sitting in the same place they were married over 36 years ago and where they renewed their vows on their 25th wedding anniversary.
I, Sandy, take you, John.
John and I, we got married exactly 1 year after our very first date, and this is where we got married.